Happy WrestleMania week, folks, and welcome back to #AskGSM here today. I'm Graham GSM Matthews. Our biggest episode today, only 6 days away from WrestleMania 32, 4 days away from NXT TakeOver Dallas, and 1 week away from the post-WrestleMania Raw. A lot of great stuff going on. Of course, the busiest week and yet funnest week, if that's even a word, for yours truly. Looking forward to what the week brings on Next Day of Wrestling, Bleacher Report, Hidden Remote, What Culture, here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and everything else in between. We got a stacked week for you guys kicking off here today with #AskGSM. As always, if you want to send in a question, you can tweet me on the Twitter at WrestleRant with the #AskGSM. On Facebook, give the page an old thumbs up at facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Leave a comment on the post I usually put up on Sunday nights. Last night, I'm sorry, I put it up at like fucking midnight. I came back to my dorm after going home for the Easter weekend, so I apologize for that. Or you can leave a comment or a question rather on the page itself. I'll be sure to include it in next week's edition or on this very video in the comment section down below. I'll be sure to include your question in next week's episode. So without further ado, I got 40 minutes to go until I got to go to class. So we'll try to go through as many questions as we can. And as you guys know, I always go through every single question. I might just have to run through them a little quicker than usual. So I apologize in advance. But Blue Eye Disorder, Jason, my brother, happy birthday. It was his birthday on Friday. Everyone wished him a happy birthday. His question was, do you think X-Pac will be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame down the road? He did more than Rikishi in the WWE in my eyes. Absolutely. If not a part of DX, I think he should go on his own. I feel like someone asked me this about a year ago or so, and I might have been like, maybe. But at this point, like you said, Rikishi, the Godfather. RJ and I have gone back and forth about this. Not even back and forth, we're in total agreement that he is not really all that worthy. The character itself, maybe Charles Wright, but even then, that's a stretch. That is a big stretch. So, yeah, X-Pac on his own, as X-Pac, as Sean Waltman, and, 6-Pac in WCW, the 1-2-3 Kid, absolutely he's WWE Hall of Fame worthy. And at this point, like you said, with Rikishi going in, and the Godfather this year is kind of a more, I think X-Pac is a bigger glaring omission at this point than the Godfather going into this year's Hall of Fame class. But, yeah, I feel like he should be WWE Hall of Fame worthy, and he should go in at some point down the road, as you said. JGF Rants, also from YouTube. Will Shinsuke and Nakamura versus Sami Zayn steal the show at TakeOver? If not, which match will? Yeah, I feel like it will. The whole show will steal the show, if that makes any sense at all. I know it doesn't, but the whole card is just stacked from top to bottom. From the NXT title match between Samoa Joe and Balor, Bayley and Asuka for the NXT Women's Championship, the Revival versus how could I forget, American Alpha, Jason Jordan and Chad Gable, Austin Aries making his TakeOver debut against Baron Corbin. All these matches I'm super looking forward to. I'm super excited for. But Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn, I am looking forward to. Probably, I don't know if I'm looking forward to the most. I feel like I'm looking forward to the entire show. But this match is going to kick ass. So I feel like it will be the match to steal the show, but any match is free game because I feel like all these matches are just home run hitters. One match alone would make me excited for this show. Every single match, combined makes this a dream card beyond belief for NXT. What do you think about Matt Seidel, the former Evan Bourne, possibly coming back to WWE for the Global Cruiserweight Series? I love it. I'm a big fan of Matt Seidel, Evan Bourne. I got the chance to meet him about a year and a half ago at an indie show. He's such a great dude. We did it after the show. He actually just got done wrestling in the main event against Matt Taven and AJ Styles, and he hung around afterwards to get pictures with fans. I had a Pepsi can in my hand. He thought I was spitting tobacco in it or whatever. And I wasn't, by the way, but it was funny. But yeah, he's a great dude. I love his work in Ring of Honor, especially now. The guy is really able to do stuff that he wasn't able to do in WWE, and that's kind of to be expected. WWE limits a lot of people's movesets and shit, so I'm not, completely shocked by that. But I would love to see him back, if only for that Cruiserweight series that you're talking about, that they announced about a month or so ago. I would love to see him back in WWE for that series, because I feel like he would have been the pioneer of that division if they brought it back 4 or 5 years ago. I say it all the time when people ask me about this series, and whether it's too little too late, because, 5 years ago we had guys like Yoshitatsu, Evan Bourne, Tyson Kidd, Sin Cara, so on and so forth. Now pretty much all of them are gone. JTG even. But Evan Bourne would have been leading that list. So if he does come back for the series, I haven't heard anything about that. Maybe they have. They taped matches for it. I think it Evolve over the weekend, which is fucking cool. But beyond that, I would love to see Seidel in WWE. I haven't heard anything about it, but I would love to see it. The first KFC, also from YouTube. Why the hell are Zack Ryder, Stardust, and Sin Cara in the IC title match? Does that devalue the title? In a way, it kind of does. In a way, it does. WWE has done a decent job, in my opinion. I'm not gonna praise them, crazily for saying that, oh, they made that title the most prestigious in the company. I mean, it's in a better spot now than it was a year ago when it meant absolutely fucking nothing when Wade Barrett was holding it. At least Kevin Owens, Dean Ambrose, and even Ryback to an extent have done some decent things with that title over the last year. But beyond that, putting the title up for grabs, and I can go on a 10-minute rant about this. I did last week, not on here because it was before the match was announced on Raw, but on WrestleRant Radio and whatever else, and articles. I feel like it's a dumb idea. It should be just Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens one-on-one. You would think that's the direction they would go in because that's the ready-made feud. But no, they got to toss in all these other losers, which they're kind of, they need more of those guys for the Battle Royal anyway, for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. So why would you toss them in a ladder match, especially at a time when so many people are out hurt? Why would you risk further injury by putting 7 fucking men in a ladder match? That match last year, WrestleMania 31, as fun as it was a total train wreck. Dean Ambrose almost got fucking killed when he got put through that ladder by Luke Harper. That was a reckless match. And then Daniel Bryan, not because of that match, but he retired or wrestled his final match a month later. So, do the math. I just think it's dumb. I mean, Stardust, I like Zack Ryder, I like Zack Ryder, and I like Cody Rhodes. I don't like Stardust. And Sin Cara, I don't give a fuck about it at all. Like you said, they don't deserve it, so why would it do anything for the IC Championship? As stupid as it is from a booking decision, and it is, you got to think about it from that aspect too. If these guys don't deserve title shots, that also in the process brings that championship down a notch. So I completely forgot about that, but you make a great point, and yes, it does devalue the title to an extent. I was at SmackDown in Boston the other day. Yeah, I was too. So was RJ. We had a great time. And saw Damian Sandow wrestle in the dark match. I haven't seen him around since last summer. Is this preparing him for a main roster return? I don't think so. He made, and he still does. He makes appearances on Main Event. Like he made his first WWE, not even TV, because Main Event isn't on TV and has been for like a year or two. But he came back on Main Event with his old gimmick, which he came out to in Boston last week for the dark match. I thought it was for Main Event. It wasn't. Like you said, it was a dark match. I was kind of disappointed. But it was great to see him. Like you said, I'm a huge Damian Sandow fan. I have been since day one. It just makes no sense to me. Like you said, you haven't seen him since last summer. I don't think he's wrestled a match on Raw since fucking May. And this was the most over guy in the company a year ago. So the way WWE has handled him, I've talked about it before, just boggles my mind. But no, I don't think it's preparing him for a main roster return. He was in that that random ass tag team match at the Royal Rumble where like the winning team where he teamed with fucking Darren Young of all people, I think it was Darren Young, and they lost obviously. Where the winning team got to enter the Rumble match. So, and that was about it. I don't think he's been on WWE TV, like wrestled the match at all. Maybe he was wrestled the match on SmackDown at some point. I'm not exactly sure. But the guy's a loser right now. He's not even a loser if he's not on TV. So what would you rather be? Have him be a jobber or just not on TV at all? So anyway, to answer your question, no, it's not preparing him for main roster return. I haven't heard anything about that. He's just kind of, floundering right now in main event superstars and dark matches, like you said. Frankishir 15, who should Cesaro feud with when he returns? Great question. And I'm looking up and down the roster when I saw your question. I'm thinking, who could he feud with? I don't want it to see it be League of Nations. It probably will be. I would hate to see that. I mean, he could get some great matches out of Sheamus, out of Barrett. And he worked with those guys. He worked with Sheamus in the tournament, the title tournament, in the fall, right before he got hurt. And they had a great fucking match. One of the best matches of 2015 on Raw, easily. But, we've seen it before. League of Nations mean absolutely nothing right now. I mean, it would be sick if it was Cesaro and Kid versus the League of Nations. That would be a sexy feud. But I feel like if it's Kid, or rather Cesaro one-on-one with Sheamus or Barrett or Rusev or Del Rio or whoever the fuck is in that group, no one's going to care because the group means nothing. No one cares about League of Nations. So, at least I don't. So, I don't really want to see that. It's probably going to be the direction they go when he comes back, but I don't really want to see that feud. But what I would do, because it looks like coming out of WrestleMania, regardless of who wins the IC title match, we're still going to get that feud between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I hope, anyway. That's the hope. So why not insert him in that program? Cesaro has history with Kevin Owens from the summer, from when Owens beat him on Raw and at SummerSlam. And I think they've had maybe 2 or 3 matches against each other on TV last year, and Owens won them all. So Cesaro is still waiting for that win over Kevin Owens. And then you have that exact same dynamic with Sami Zayn and Cesaro. Of course, any longtime viewers of NXT know what I'm talking about here. I mean, Sami Zayn beat him in his debut, on his NXT debut 3 years ago. But that was it. He hasn't been able to defeat Cesaro since. I mean, other than that one win in the 2 out of 3 count falls match. But one-on-one matches, he has yet to beat Cesaro since his debut 3 years ago. That's another feud, a lot like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, that can go on forever. Cesaro and Zayn have such amazing chemistry. Go back and watch their match from NXT Arrival 2 years ago. It's fucking great. One of my favorite NXT matches of all time. So I would just put him right in that picture. Again, I don't know what he's done to deserve it, but like I said, he has history with both guys. And the matches these guys could have together in a triple threat match, and it should be really, like I said, Owens and Zayn one-on-one. But in a dream booking, fantasy booking scenario, I would put Cesaro in there too. And he should be back within the next month or so, apparently, the next month or two, which is great to hear. But that would make for a very sexy triple threat on paper between Zayn, Owens, and Cesaro. Caleb K, sorry. He sent in this question last week, so I apologize for getting in late, but we already filmed the video by that point. But his question was, I think it's pretty obvious that Shane beats Taker. I just have no idea how they'll book it because I don't see Shane win with a clean, straight-up victory. How would you book it, and what would you do, or what do you think will happen? It's funny you say that. I don't think Shane's going to win. I think Taker's going to win. And I've said that for a couple weeks just because I feel like Shane was a placeholder. And they were just putting Shane in that spot because it was supposed to be Cena instead. I don't think if Cena was in that match, it would have been for control of Raw or whatever, control of the company. So I feel like whatever their plans were before, they're going to stick with that. But then again, I thought the same thing about the Authority angle back in late 2014 when I thought, they were just doing this match at Survivor Series to pop a buy rate or something, pop subscriptions, and they'll go back to the way things were right after. And technically they did after a month or so when the Authority was brought back. But they did switch it up a little bit, albeit for a month or two, when they got rid of the Authority and, Dolph Ziggler won the main event of Survivor Series for whatever reason, which is, in hindsight, a weird decision. But yeah, I think Taker wins. That's the funny thing. So I don't know if it's as obvious as people think it is. I mean, I think there's a chance Shane wins, don't get me wrong, but my money right now is on Taker. Not literally, but I'm not a betting man, but I'm thinking Taker wins. So anyway, Shane was to win, though. To answer your question, how would he win? Probably interference from the Balor Club. I mean, that's something I would just want to see. That's kind of just wishful thinking. Either from the Balor Club, Sting, I've heard his name thrown around. That would be fucking sick. I don't see that happening. But Sting would be cool. John Cena's another one. I hear he's not going to be back for another couple more months. So to have Cena come in, screw Taker, and then to leave for another couple more months, like a la Brock Lesnar, makes no sense for his character. But it would be cool to build towards that match at SummerSlam or whatever, because Vince did say that, this is his last WrestleMania. He never said he had to retire. Maybe that's what he implied. I have no idea. But there is that loophole there if they want to go that route. But yeah, just probably interference. Easily interference. This match is going to have, it's going to be riddled with interference anyway, like RJ said in his article a couple weeks ago. So that's how I figure. If Shane's going to win, it's going to be with interference from, like, the Balor Club or Cena, or Sting's a long shot, but just basically anyone. He's not going to win clean, obviously. Mitch G from Facebook as well. Got a long-winded question here, but a very good one. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. What are your thoughts on wrestling promoters backing out of plans or switching plans due to online leaks / hijacking? Examples: WWE getting cold feet after the 9/11 tragedy and releasing Hassan instead of following through with his push. I mean, they didn't do it because of 9/11. It was because of the whole London bombings and because they got that bad press. It wasn't really because of 9/11, but I know what you mean. I'll repeat that for those that missed it. WWE getting cold feet after the 9/11 tragedy and releasing Hassan instead of following through with his push. Not dismissing the event, but could they have just put a disclaimer that Hassan was a character in a story before they continued? Or Braun Strowman's match with Undertaker being canceled due to the leak. I'm sometimes of the opinion that as a fan of the show, that I should accept what's given rather than try to hijack the creative process. Like, I would have been A-okay with just getting Batista versus Randy Orton one-on-one at WrestleMania 30 since that was the original plan. What are your thoughts? You're probably the only one in that camp. I hate to break it to you, and I completely know what you're talking. I know where you're coming from. I agree to an extent. And sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes it's a bad thing. With Daniel Bryan, the fans wanted to see no one else in that main event but Daniel Bryan. So they made the right move, and obviously it led to one of the best WrestleManias in years and years and years. So I would have definitely, that was a case where it comes in handy, where the crowd hijacking the shows and whatever, or cheering for their favorite superstar and not anyone else, worked to our advantage or their advantage or whatever, and made it for a better story. But at the same time, in another good example, like you mentioned, Braun versus Taker. People are complaining about Shane. I'm thinking about this last night, but people are complaining about Shane and Taker right now. Oh, this match has no build, it has no hype, and I agree to an extent. I think they could have done a better job of making people excited for this match other than the stipulations at hand. But look at the alternative. We almost got Undertaker and Braun Strowman. The Wyatt family means fucking nothing right now. Fucking nothing. So if we got Braun Strowman versus Taker WrestleMania, people would be shitting all over this card more than they already are. So let's be appreciative of what we have right now, folks. And Shane versus Undertaker. This match is going to kick all sorts of ass. And I think it's going to be a lot better anyway, in my opinion, than Braun Strowman and Taker. Feel free to disagree, but I'm pretty sure this match will be a significant improvement over that match. But anyway, like you said, the examples where it doesn't come in handy or it doesn't, work to our benefit, like the Hassan thing 10 years ago, which was so stupid. I still don't get why they couldn't have moved the guy to Raw. I know they had the whole, like I said, the London bombings, and, that was their fault. It wasn't Hassan's fault. He's playing a character on TV, like you said, and they fucking released the guy. They didn't try to repackage him or whatever. They just released him because, of the bad press they got from that one incident on SmackDown. And I think it was a very distasteful angle. I'm not saying, the PC police. No, they shouldn't have done that angle. It was stupid. London bombings or no London bombings, it was a stupid angle to do, and a stupid, angle to, a stupid perspective on with the ski masks, and it was just dumb. It was beyond laughable when you look at it now, just how dumb that decision was to do that on SmackDown, or just period. But then what was even stupider was releasing the guy for something he didn't even do. He was told to do that. He's a character, and he got released because he couldn't play that character anymore. You couldn't move him to Raw. They want, UPN said, we don't want him on our show. Okay, then like I said, you move him to Raw, and you give him a new character, and they kept Daivari around, so, they could have done that. They could have kept Hassan around too. I mean, I don't want to go on a huge rant about that, but you know what I mean. So anyway, going back to your original question here. Yeah, I think there's some times where fans... I'm a fan too, so I'm not even excluding myself from this, but I'm just saying, when Roman Reigns won the Rumble, that's, it's really hard to say, where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? When they hijack everything, or when they chant CM Punk in Chicago, and the guy's been gone for 3 years, and they want him to come back, but he signed with the UFC, that's stupid. The only time I've ever really been, not even pissed, but even, the slightest bit frustrated with a crowd hijacking a show was that March 3rd show back in 2014 in Chicago. We're going into the show, they had the hijack Raw hashtag going on and the whole Twitter page, which was so fucking stupid. And at that point, we didn't know CM Punk wasn't coming back. But they were going to chant for CM Punk the entire night and not enjoy what they gave us. And that was a really, really good show. The night the Usos won the championships. Pretty sure we had a great, Christian Sheamus match or something. So we had a lot of great matches on that show. And they refused to, they still cheered for everything. WWE gave them a very good show and gave them something to cheer about. But stuff like that is just stupid. Don't plan to hijack a show. Just let it be organic. The Daniel Bryan thing was organic. If Roman Reigns wins, we riot. Oh, whatever. Get over it. I love Roman Reigns. I don't love Roman Reigns, but I think he's very, very good, and I'm a fan of Roman Reigns. I'm not going to riot if he wins at WrestleMania because I think it makes the most sense. And Triple H wins, I wouldn't be pissed either, but I don't know. I don't want to go on a huge rant about this, but yeah, that's kind of long and short of it. You can't really draw the line, but I totally agree. With some instances, it works out for the best. I know you didn't agree, but Orton and Batista, if that match happened at WrestleMania, people would have shat all over it. That was not a WrestleMania match, or at least not in 2014. Maybe in 2006, but not in 2014. So, the crowd can't hijack everything, but it's got to be, far and few between. It's got to be organic. It can't be forced, like the hijack Raw in Chicago. That was just stupidness. Mark S. from Facebook, he's got a couple questions here. Who do you think will win the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania? I'm going Kevin Owens. I feel like KO is the best choice. He made it a point to, point out in his interview with Michael Cole last week that no one has successfully defended the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania since WrestleMania 17, 15 years ago. So I feel like this is the time to keep the belt on Owens. He just won it a month ago. If they put the belt on Zayn in a one-on-one match, I'd be all for that, and I probably would have gone with Zayn if it was one-on-one. But it's a ladder match where you protect everyone involved. Not like they need protecting. It's a bunch of fucking losers for the most part. But, I got Kevin Owens, and Zayn can win it down the line. I feel like it would be stupid. To give Zayn a victory here would be cool, I guess. I'd mark out, but it's then why not just do it one-on-one? So you protect Kevin Owens. The guy's been beaten 5 times already. Not even, a dozen times. He's been pinned already, so it's not like he's undefeated or anything. But, I got KO going over Mania for the IC title. Do you think there could be a problem if Charlotte wins the Divas Championship at WrestleMania that she could run out of opponents to challenge her? No, I don't think so. I feel like if she was to retain the title at Mania, which I know Tom from my co-host from WWE Radio, he's pulling for Charlotte. I'm pulling for Sasha, and RJ's pulling for Becky. Every party involved has got a different person going over in that match, which is great. But if Charlotte wins, it reminds me a lot of Orton going over at WrestleMania 24 when people thought, Cena's going to win because it makes it for the best story, and or Triple H is going to win. That makes it even for an even better story, whatever. And then Orton won when no one expected him to. I feel like the percentage, like they had a poll that night. I don't know if it was rigged or not, but they had like one of those text polls. Who do you think is going to win the triple threat for the WWE Championship tonight at WrestleMania? And Orton had like 8% of the vote, and he ended up winning, which was for the best because they ended up giving him Triple H had his reign of terror for the next 7 months after winning the belt at Backlash. But I felt like it was a nice little swear. I wasn't even a fan at that time, but I felt like in retrospect it was a nice thing to do to give Orton that victory at WrestleMania. But it's not like if she beats them at WrestleMania, then that's it. Like there's no more people for her to face. For one, I mean, there's a couple options. If Charlotte wins at WrestleMania, it's not the worst possible decision. If any one of these women wins, I feel like it's fine. It's not like, oh, fuck, Charlotte won. Oh, no, that's awful. Becky could still be in contention. She has yet to get her one-on-one rematch of the championship after getting screwed out of it at the Rumble by Ric Flair. Becky and Charlotte had one-on-one match on SmackDown last week. And, they have yet to feud for the Divas Championship one-on-one. So they could always go with that feud after WrestleMania with Charlotte still as the champion. Or you could just call it Bayley, which I feel like it's high time that happened anyway. She could lose the NXT Women's Championship on Friday to Asuka TakeOver and then debut on Monday's Raw, which I feel like would be awesome. So there's a couple options they could go with if Charlotte wins on Sunday. So I'm not going to cry if she wins because I feel like Becky or Sasha is going to win the belt eventually anyway. So it's not the end of the world if Charlotte retains. What changes would you make to the current card for WrestleMania stipulations, etc.? A lack of stipulations. This, I've talked about this with Tom, with RJ, and we all, I think, are pretty much in agreement that this feels like a card straight out of WWE 2K16. I'm still excited for it, don't get me wrong, but we got almost a tables match with the Usos and the Dudleys. We have a triple threat, 10-woman tag team, 4-on-3 handicap, no holds barred, street fight, Hell in a Cell. Like, how many fucking stipulation matches could you have? It screams WrestleMania 2000. That was one of the worst installments in the last 16 years of the new millennium. It was one of the worst installments of this millennium, and that's saying a lot. That show sucked. Other than the TLC match, that show sucked. I'm sorry. I'm not saying WrestleMania 32 is going to suck. It could very well exceed expectations, but they can't rely heavily on a stipulation show, especially with Extreme Rules right around the corner. What's the point? We're going to get Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania. We're going to get a no holds barred match, or we're getting a no holds barred match on this show too. But I guess I'm trying to think of a stipulation match that isn't at WrestleMania. I don't know. No disqualification at Extreme Rules. What's the point? If we just saw all these extreme matches at WrestleMania, then why would we get all these matches at Extreme Rules a month later? It just makes no sense. I would just take away the stipulations, if anything. I mean, I would leave like Lesnar and Ambrose as a no-holds-barred street fight. That should be a really, really good match. They should thrive in that environment. Hell in a Cell is pushing it, but the match could have been just one-on-one, but I'm not complaining because it could be a very fun match. A tables match, the Usos and Dudleys, I don't feel like that's necessary. All the multi-man tag team matches, all this other shit, handicap stuff, I feel like it's just way too much. Way too much. So I would, if anything, I'd just take away stipulations or put more shit at stake. It doesn't have to be an Extreme Rules match, but for Triple H and Reigns, if Reigns wins, nothing feel like it really changes. We have a new champion, whoop-de-doo. If Triple H wins, nothing changes. So, I don't know. We just need less stipulations and more shit at stake, I guess, if that makes sense. So it feels more must-see. Would you like to see anyone from any other wrestling promotion from NXT or from WWE's past enter this year's Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal? I don't really care to see anyone in particular. I don't feel like it's going to be. I know 2 years ago when this match first started, we were thinking, maybe Goldberg shows up or the Warrior. The Battle Royal doesn't mean that much. I think we've learned, if anything, from the past couple of years that this Battle Royal is, Jobber City. So we're not going to get a returning, not even like a Rob Van Dam or something like that. They wouldn't come back for this shit, especially on the pre-show. You kidding me? If anything, I'd be fine with the NXT guy getting the rub, like a Tommy did last year, almost did when he got tossed down in 5 minutes by the Big Show, which was fucking asinine. But beyond that, I would love to see someone from NXT in the Battle Royal. I don't know who it would be. I would save Balor, obviously. That would be just dumb. Like a Baron Corbin would be cool, Apollo Crews, even an Austin Aries or Samoa Joe. Maybe not even Samoa Joe. I feel like he will get called up at some point. But someone like an Austin Aries who I feel like will never get into the main roster. I feel like they're NXT exclusive. Just to get that WrestleMania rub, if only for one night. So I would love to see something like that. What is your impression of Rich Swann so far in NXT? And do you think a tag team of himself and Apollo Crews could work? That would be nice. I like Apollo Crews on his own right now, but Rich Swann so far, he's very good. We've only seen maybe 2 or 3 matches from him so far. They had that match with him and, I don't know, he wrestled somebody a couple weeks ago. I think it was Baron Corbin like a month or 2 ago. And then he faced Balor last week on the show in a very, very good match. I forgot what his name on the indie circuit was, but he was a a star in the independent scene. He's coming to NXT, and he's got charisma. They're giving him the old shuck and jive gimmick, which I think is outdated and stupid. But beyond that, and the music is catchy, but it's like, really? You need to give him dance music? It's either with African-American people in WWE. This is not to sound racist, but they either give him angry, rap music or, chuck and jive music. It's just so stupid. They've always done this. They have always done this. You look at R-Truth, you look at Big E. When he first came up, he had the rap gimmick or the rap music, and it's a lot better now, obviously. Or the New Day when they first started, their, whatever, the chorus music. You know what I'm talking about, so... Anyway, other than that, I feel like he's a great wrestler. So I feel like he has a lot of potential if they book him properly. And a tag team with Apollo Crews could be cool. But like I said, I like Crews on his own for right now, maybe down the line. What is your impression of Sarah Dobson in NXT? Is she the girl who nearly beat Bayley before? Do you think she has potential? I don't remember the match with Bayley. Maybe she did face Bayley a while ago. I don't remember. But she did face Alexa Bliss last week on the show. I wasn't too impressed. I thought Alexa Bliss was better than she was. She botched a couple moves. So I'm not really all that impressed. I don't think she signed to NXT or anything like that. I know you said in NXT, but I don't think she signed to NXT. I think she's just coming in for squash matches and shit. But I don't really want to see her sign. She's really not that good, in my opinion. Brett Berdar, his question was, I got a couple questions from Twitter here, or a lot of questions from Twitter, but the first couple come from Brad Berdar. Who deserves more credit for how much they commit themselves to their characters, Cody Rhodes or Damian Sandow? Awesome question. Oh, man. Both guys, too. I mean, you would think, like, who acts like their character outside of the wrestling ring? Like, who acts like their character in interviews and shit? Like, outside of WWE. And they both did for a long time. Cody Rhodes still does. Damian Sandow, even when, he's not on TV anymore, but when he was still relevant 2-3 years ago, he was still doing the You're Welcome stuff, in interviews with Sam Roberts and stuff. I'm like, this is fucking great. Cody Rhodes never did that before. He does that now with Stardust, and he kind of does. I mean, he committed to characters like the mustache stuff and the fit and the face mask and whatever. He never did it outside of WWE. I don't think in interviews and stuff. Maybe he did. I don't remember. But Damian, I'd have to go with Damian Sandow. The Mizdow stuff was really, really. He committed a lot to that character, as does Cody Rhodes. But I don't know. It's a toss up. If you say one, you wouldn't be wrong. But I would have to go with Damian Sandow. I feel like with all the characters that he played over the course of 2014 and the fact he was still playing them outside in interviews, I've never seen Damian Sandow as himself. Cody Rhodes I have. Never really Damian Sandow, other than that one promo on Raw like a year ago before we got interrupted by WrestleMania. Other than that, I've never seen Damian Sandow as himself, so I've got to go with Damian Sandow. His second question, in your opinion, what is the most predictable and unpredictable match at WrestleMania? Most predictable, probably Triple H and Reigns. I mean, there's always a slight chance Triple H wins, but I feel like LOL Reigns wins. It's not a terrible thing, but I feel like that's the most predictable match on the card. Least, like I said earlier, I feel like Shane and Taker, a lot of people are going both ways. I think Taker's winning. People are like, oh no, it's very predictable that Shane's winning. I don't think it's as predictable. Just because they have Taker, they have all these stipulations if Shane wins, doesn't mean that Shane's going to win. Like I said, they brought him in last minute because Cena got hurt and everyone else, backed out or not backed out, but all their other plans fell through. So they had to call upon Shane as a last-ditch effort, So I don't think it's really that predictable at all. I think it could very well go either way, so I'm going to have to go with Shane Taker. His third question here, which CM Punk theme song did you prefer? This Fire Burns or Cult of Personality? Gotta be Cult of Personality. I love This Fire Burns. I just listened to it this morning. It's a great song. But I love Cult of Personality. Probably one of my favorite, not even wrestling theme songs, but just songs of all time. And it's not like I was around when it first became popular. I'm not going to pretend I was. I'm only 20 years old. But, at the first time I heard it, when Punk came out to it 5 years ago on Raw, that great return. I know it was only 8 days after he left, but I still love that return so much. When he first came out to it, the only time that song in WWE never got a reaction. I'm sure there was like 5 people in the crowd that were Ring of Honor fans that knew where that song, that knew it was Punk from his Ring of Honor days. But beyond that, no one reacted because no one knew who it was. And as soon as that return happened, as soon as the show ended, I downloaded that song to my iPod. I listened to it at least 12 times that night on repeat. And I still do to this day, even though Punk's gone, I still think it's a great fucking song. So, gotta be Cult of Personality. I love This Fire Burns a lot. I love those days of CM Punk, and I still like that song a lot. But if I had to pick one over the other, it's gotta be Cult of Personality. Probably my favorite theme song of all time, no doubt. Would you have Stephanie McMahon removed from TV if it meant Big Show would be a main eventer? So basically you're saying it's a compromise. So if Stephanie got removed from TV, Big Show would be a main eventer. I would not take that any day of the week, ever. I would rather have Stephanie on TV if it means keeping Big Show out of the main event scene. If Stephanie's off TV, I guess that's a plus. Maybe if you said the Authority, I think even then I would have gone with the Authority on TV over Big Show in the main event. That should not be a thing in 2016. It was in 2013 for a while for whatever reason, but it should not be a thing in 2016 have Big Show in the main event scene. I'm sorry. Do you think that Emma's main roster run will work out much better this time around? I think so. I mean, she's come a long way since her first time around, since, the first time she got called up 2 years ago. And they never really handled their character properly. She got paired with Santino, and they did the stupid dance. I like the dance, but they portrayed it in a way that it was the only thing it was good for was the dance competition, the dance contests, and stuff like that. It was just stupid. It was a complete waste of her talent. At least now when she's getting called up, I mean, it might be just for this WrestleMania match with Team Lana versus Team Brie. But beyond that, I feel like it's a great thing for Emma. She's a great wrestler. She has a great character, a lot better wrestler, a lot better character now than she did 2 years ago. So I'm hoping it works out better. I mean, we talked about it before. If Charlotte retains, who's she going to defend against? I know Emma's a heel, but even if Becky wins or Sasha wins, you have Emma right there ready, I mean, I know people don't really know her right now unless you watch NXT, and they don't really have a reason to care. They're going to have to build her up over time. I mean, I don't think they'll do that, unfortunately, but she's a fresh face, and I would love to see her in the Divas Championship picture over Paige again, at least right now. So Emma versus Becky or Emma versus Sasha would make for a great program. It's something I don't think we've ever seen before. Probably in NXT a couple of years ago. I'm sure they were in NXT. No, I lied. Emma and Sasha were in NXT together for a while in late 2013, but I don't think Emma and Becky ever really faced off that much, if at all. So that's a match I would love to see at some point down the line, especially considering how far both girls have come in the last couple of years. Given Full Sail's tendency to accept over-the-top characters, do you think these social outcasts would get over in NXT? I think so. I think it says a lot about a wrestler not to get over in NXT. Like you said, anything gets over in NXT. Bull Dempsey with the bullfit gimmick, which was dumb, it got over. So anything gets over in NXT for the most part. Adam Rose got over it first, so I don't think it'd be a stretch to say that the social outcasts would get over in NXT. So, I think they would definitely be beloved by the NXT audience. I think the social outcasts are great. I love the social outcasts. So, I know the main roster audience doesn't really think as much. The main viewing audience, just because they're all losers. But and a lot of those guys were from NXT. I mean, Slater, before it became what it is now. But Adam Rose was. Axel was down in this version of NXT for a while. And Bo Dallas, obviously, a former NXT champion. So if they love Bo Dallas towards the end of his run in NXT, not loved him, but the character was a lot better than what he was at the beginning. I'm sure they would be accepted by the faithful at Full Sail. That's a tongue twister. At Swagzio, who was one superstar in the main roster you would like to see back in NXT. Tyler Breeze, any day of the week, any fucking day. Neville, would be nice. The Ascension, oh God, but I feel like Tyler Breeze has so much wasted potential. Because here's the thing. Neville still has a future. He's a great wrestler. People like Neville. He's getting TV time. I know he just got hurt, but he was getting TV time. The Ascension, they need to go back to NXT. But it's not like I'm crying because they're being, buried on the main roster. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Tyler Breeze, he is getting buried. I do not use that term, very loosely. A lot, more often than not. But he has been glorified buried since coming up to the main roster, ever since that feud with Dolph Ziggler ended. So, yeah, it's just a total waste. A total waste. If he was in NXT right now, he'd probably be NXT champion, or at least competing for the title at a higher level than what he's doing right now and losing to Zack Ryder and Jack Swagger on Main Event and Superstars. So, anyway, Tyler Breeze easily is the one person is more over than anyone else I would like to see back in NXT. Will Apollo Crews ever be a main eventer on the main roster? I think so at some point. I feel like he has a lot of potential. He's got a great look. He's a great wrestler. Great theme song, too. And, I feel like at some point, if they can kind of evolve his character so it's not just, a smiling, happy-go-lucky babyface, he could be a very big deal on the main roster down the line. At Sean Markistic, his first question was, which WrestleMania match are you looking forward to the most? I think it's a toss-up, either between Lesnar and Ambrose, because I feel like the match is going to be kick-ass, or, and this might surprise you, Charlotte, Banks, and Becky. Shayna and Taker I'm looking forward to a lot, too, but I feel like the match could very well flop. And the stipulations, too, depending on who wins, and it's just been a whole cluster so far. So I'm going to go with the Divas Championship match, which I feel like could be a great wrestling match. I'm also excited to see who wins, because it's not very predictable. And Lesnar and Ambrose, too. I feel like that match could be very, very good. So both those matches I'm kind of tied for, and what I'm looking forward to the most at WrestleMania. Could we see outside interference during Shane versus Undertaker and Ambrose and Lesnar? Yeah, definitely. Easily during Shane and Taker. Maybe during Ambrose and Lesnar. Maybe the Wyatt family gets involved. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't want to see it. That would be awful. Just give the guys the match in the show. Don't have them get involved in this match and fuck up what could be a great barn burner of a bout between Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose. Don't get them involved for no reason. Push, repackage, release Bo Dallas, Stardust, and Zack Ryder. Push Dallas, repackage Stardust into Cody Rhodes, and release Ryder. At Cody Collier 37, in your opinion, which match will steal the show at NXT TakeOver Dallas and WrestleMania 32 and why? Already said the TakeOver one, but Nakamura and Zayn. And at WrestleMania, probably Lesnar or Ambrose. Maybe the Divas match, but I feel like Lesnar and Ambrose will be given more freedom to do, kind of to live up to their full potential and having a great match, or an awesome match in my opinion. At DK King 1996, what is your favorite WrestleMania set? Gotta go with WrestleMania 28. That was a great fucking set. I feel bad for the people who had to sit behind the palm trees and couldn't see a goddamn thing and had to be moved to another part of the stadium. But beyond that, I thought the set itself looked great. It was great with the Florida theme. There's been a lot of cool sets. The WrestleMania 30 set was really, really cool, but I don't know. I loved WrestleMania 28 a lot, so probably WrestleMania 28. Had my favorite set. At E13A's got a couple questions here. I got to brush these, I'm sorry, because I got to get going. Shit, there's a lot of questions left. I got to go in like 5 minutes. I got to rush these, I apologize. Do you think the star power from WrestleMania 19 was overestimated? Was it Hogan McMahon? Was Hogan McMahon an actual money match? Seeing Hogan in action was a money match. I feel like the star power was not overestimated, like you said. They had a lot of star power. They had Rock, Stone Cold, Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, Triple H, Hogan McMahon, Michaels in his first WrestleMania match back. So I don't feel like it was overestimated at all. And the fact the buy rate was so low still surprises me to this day. Did a third Austin Rock Mania match carry much purpose? With what an in-and-out Rock and Stone Cold did in their twilight of their career. Wait, with an in-and-out Rock and Stone Cold in the twilight of his career. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that last part, but did the match carry much purpose other than giving Rock a victory? Not really. It was a nice little attraction. It was a fun match. The worst of the three at WrestleMania. It's not saying a lot because the other two were great. Still a really, really good match. But, it really didn't serve much purpose other than giving Rock one last Mania match or giving him that win over Stone Cold Steve Austin and ending Stone Cold's career on a high note because he was pretty much done by that point. If he didn't face Rock at WrestleMania, maybe he would have faced Brock Lesnar or something, but that would have been a nice way to go out. But it was a nice way to close out his career against one of his greatest rivals of all time. Kurt Angle's neck was bad even back then, and he was set to take time off. Did the Lesnar match lack suspense? The crowd wasn't electric for it. It was still a great match. It's still one of my favorite WrestleMania matches. Not top 10, but it's my top 30. And look at the whole list I've been doing for Next Era Wrestling. But, I don't think it lacked suspense because I feel like people knew Lesnar was winning, but I feel like the excitement was in the match itself because they had a really, really, really good wrestling match. So maybe suspense in terms of the outcome, but probably not in terms of the in-ring action because they definitely lived up to the hype and the expectations in delivering a great wrestling match. Booker T creatively wandered after abruptly losing tag team titles with Goldust. Was he not quite a credible challenger for the World Heavyweight Championship? And did it not help that the Reign of Terror Triple H was coming off the Scott Steiner feud? It was just bad timing. Triple H and Booker was not a WrestleMania match. And like you said, coming off the very abrupt tag team title loss with Goldust, he was getting popular, but it was way too soon. They probably could have waited until the summer even, or maybe they knew Goldust, or rather Goldberg, was coming in, so they couldn't do it then. I'm not really sure. But like you said, the feud was just a waste. Booker T was never again a world title challenger for the next 3 years, so... it was just very bad timing. The match wasn't great. It was just kind of there. And Triple H, like you said, was struggling coming off the field feud with Scott Steiner. And lastly, from what I gathered, the buzz in 2003 WWE seemed lacking. Was something not right? Maybe for Raw. Raw was not great in 03 just because we had as you said, the aforementioned Reign of Terror from Triple H. So I probably, for that reason alone, would have said that it wasn't, that it was lacking just because SmackDown was great back then. Raw, not so much because of that Reign of Terror. I apologize, guys. We got like 10 questions left. I got to run through these because I got to go. I apologize. At Mirror Storm, do you think The Undertaker would be willing to fall to Shane McMahon at WrestleMania? Not a chance in hell, especially if he loses, he's done at WrestleMania. At Captain Keller, 29, what would you think of a plot twist of Stardust winning the IC title and then coming back as Cody the following night? That would be cool. I don't see it happening. If they were going to bring back Cody Rhodes, they would have done it already. At RJ_Marceau, which match are you least looking forward to at WrestleMania 32? Either the Battle Royal or the New Day League of Nations match with the tag team titles not even on the line. It just makes no sense to me. I don't really care. At Scarlet 1, was Lucha Underground Aztec Warfare the ideal Royal Rumble like everything a Battle Royal should have been? Absolutely. It was like the Royal Rumble done better for this year. It's basically the same concept too, like in terms of Phoenix coming in at number 1, and Mil Muertes coming in at 20, and Matanza coming out as an extra entrant. But, yeah, it was everything that Rumble should have been. The Rumble was still great in its own right, and the best Rumble match in years. But the Lucha Underground match, Aztec Warfare, was definitely better. What did you think of Chad Gable and Jason Jordan's interview video package in NXT? I thought it was awesome. I think the SmackDown at Boston you were on, as far as SmackDowns go, may have been the most energetic in a while. Was it? I felt like it was one of the best SmackDowns in recent memory. Very fun time there. I don't know about the crowd, but the show itself was really, really good. The crowd was good, not as electric as I thought it would be though. But then again, it was SmackDown. Do you think Reigns' biggest issue right now is actually that his singles main event push in 2014 got off on the wrong foot, and we haven't washed it away yet? The jokey promos, the one-liners, the D-Bry snub, the Rock fail, and the Cena comparisons. Yeah, I think that's a factor. I don't think it's the sole reason why he's not getting over right now. They just have to turn him heel. That's like really the only solution at this point in time. They can't be stubborn and keep him babyface. He's got to go heel. That's definitely a factor, but they got to turn him heel regardless. I know RJ said in 2005 that Batista was hardly different from Roman Reigns, but people accepted him. But I think what saved Batista was that he was a mercenary looking to break out, was better protected, and people were ready for anybody to overthrow Triple H, a benefit Roman does not quite have right now, unless there's a counter argument for that. No, I see what you mean. I just feel like Batista, from a wrestling standpoint, was not ready. If we had that same story today, people would shit all over it. If Roman broke out, it's like the same thing that if Triple H, Roman Reigns broke out from the Shield in 2015, if they kept the Shield together a while longer and he broke out in early 2015, and he went for the Mania at WrestleMania 31, people would still shit all over it, and he went after Triple H. The story wasn't quite there when he got the push last year and this year too. I mean, that story I guess makes sense, but he's more ready now than he was a year ago. With Batista, the point I think RJ was trying to make was that the guy had barely had a singles run. He was not a great wrestler at that point. He had a lot of good matches with Triple H. They just had really good chemistry. They really lucked out there. But from a wrestling standpoint, he barely had enough experience under his belt to warrant a singles push as the World Heavyweight Champion in the main event of WrestleMania. I think that's what he's talking about, and I agree there. But even back then, the story was better with Batista, like you said, because he was ready to break out. People organically got behind him. Roman Reigns, that was not the case with him. And finally, are you ready for WrestleMania regardless of the negative responses to this year's build-up? Perfect question to end with. That is a clown question, but a good one. Of course, I'm excited for WrestleMania regardless of the build. Can't wait for Sunday. And speaking of which, new content going up all week long. Again, I apologize for the quick responses here at the end. I got to get going to class in like 30 seconds. I'm already going to be late as it is, so I apologize. If I leave now, I'm going to make it on time. But if you want to send in a question, tweet me on the Twitter at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. On Facebook, give the page an all page and all thumbs up at facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Leave a comment on the post I usually put up on Sunday nights or on the wall itself. And be sure to leave a comment on this very video. Be sure to include next week's edition. That is the speed round of hashtag AskGSM. Thank you guys for sending in questions, listening, watching, liking, subscribing, and sharing this video. All support is greatly appreciated. Enjoy what the rest of WrestleMania week has to offer. Looking forward to it. Should be a great week/weekend. And I'll catch you guys down the road.